Did you recently find yourself thinking, I know personal branding is important, but I don't know where to start? Your competition gets so much visibility online, but what about you? Will you run out of business? You know that creating content is important, but it's not as easy as everybody says. Maybe there's a smarter way of doing business, of getting more visibility. Maybe there's something you don't know. Because in the end, what you want is more clients, more leads, and being seen, being heard, being liked, and followed. If these are the questions that are running through your mind recently, you're definitely at the right place. Because this presentation is all about building an epic personal brand on LinkedIn. Today, I want to talk about 3 different aspects. First, we start with personal branding, what it is and why it matters. Then, we're going to talk about LinkedIn. Forget TikTok and all of the other platforms. It's #LinkedIn famous. And lastly, I want to bring those 2 aspects together and want to talk about personal branding with LinkedIn. Sounds good? Well, then let's get started. What is personal branding and why is it important? The best quote or definition of a brand comes from Seth Godin. It's a very long sentence and I always butcher it. But the essence of it is that a brand is a set of expectations and stories and everything around you. Your colors, the way how you speak, what you wear, how you interact with your clients. And all of this has an impact on the question if I'm going to buy from you, if I'm going to purchase your products or your services as a client. Now, personal branding, in contrast to branding, describes the brand of an individual, which means we all have a brand. You cannot not have or be a personal brand. Just like we cannot not communicate. We know that since Paul Václavic. If you don't like the term brand, then see it from another angle. Some people call personal branding a self-marketing or a communications or a leadership tool. So instead of being a, let's say, passive victim of the impressions or ideas of people, it's all about you. You have the power of taking the reins of leadership back to your hands and then design a brand or steer the perception of your brand in a way that is aligned with your goals and how you want to portray yourself. One of the most asked questions that people approach us with is, LinkedIn? Why LinkedIn, Dr. Nat? And I recently stumbled over this incredibly adorable video on LinkedIn on the page of LinkedIn Marketing Solutions. Let's have a look at it together. Cuteness overload, isn't it? So to sum it up once again, people on LinkedIn are in a business mindset. When you compare that to Instagram or to Facebook, in my perception, people rather use this platform to get entertained, to get inspired, to communicate with their friends, to have fun, to look at some inspiration when it comes to cooking or makeup or traveling. And all of that is great. And all of that has its place. And if you realize that you do business with people who are thinking about business, well, then LinkedIn might be a smarter alternative. Also quite interesting, when you look at the age of the average Instagram user and the average LinkedIn user, when you compare these numbers, the Instagram user is significantly younger than somebody who spends time on LinkedIn. Over 70% of Instagram users are actually teenagers. So it really depends on the product or service that you would like to market. If your target audience is not in that age group, well, then spending more time on LinkedIn definitely can make more sense. Gary Vaynerchuk said that the organic reach on LinkedIn is like on Facebook in 2012, which means that if you are a brand or a company that creates a lot of content and you like to create content, then you're going to get so much more visibility than on Facebook and on Instagram. Think about it. You can communicate with your clients, share your stories, and start conversations, and all of that without investing into very cost-intense ads. When you think content marketing, LinkedIn is currently the place to be. LinkedIn is also the only platform that allows you to build a network of up to 30,000 contacts. On Facebook, you can have 5,000 friends. So if you think out of the perspective of marketing, PR, business development, sales, LinkedIn is a dream. And maybe a last factor, when we look at the user numbers, when we compare Facebook, who bought Instagram, and LinkedIn, we realize that there's a huge difference. It is so much easier to stand out on LinkedIn because there are simply not so many users. On Facebook, we talk about approximately 2.5 billion users. On LinkedIn, we talk about approximately 675 million. As I've mentioned earlier, LinkedIn is a stunning tool when we talk about content marketing. But how do you get started with content? With a mindset shift. Stop consuming content and decide, actively choose, yes, I am a content creator. When you read an article and you really like it, why don't you take the link of the article and add 2 or 3 sentences? Share with me why you'd like to repost it, what inspired you, what you liked, what you agree or disagree with. If it is a post from another person, do the same. Take the URL and share 2 or 3 lines with me. And that is a relatively simple and safe way to get your face and your brand out there. Another stunning concept that helped me tremendously when I started, I think 7 years ago, was the idea of documenting versus creating. So many people I know, they believe that their first piece of content needs to be a Hollywood production. You need to have a budget of at least $30,000, the most expensive camera, 15 people of a crew. You need to rent a whole studio, and you need to create something that will go viral and most probably change the whole history of mankind. When you have such expectations, you will make your life so miserable. Instead of creating, you could start with documenting your journey. For that, you just need a cell phone that can take some pictures. Walk around through your life, through the day, through conferences or e-meetings or meetings, and ask yourself, would that look good on LinkedIn? Can I share a story about that? Ooh, this frame, yeah, I could take a picture of that. And again, a cell phone is enough. You don't need to write a huge piece in the beginning. Start with the small things. What inspired you, what you liked, what made you laugh, a lesson learned, a story, and take it from there. Study the content of people that edutain you, inspire you, and inform you on LinkedIn, and see if there is a strategy or a pattern in what they do. I'm a huge fan and believer of modeling and seeing what the best do, and then slowly but surely failing yourself up or experimenting yourself up to becoming the content creator that you can be. Also very important, that's the last point for today. Whenever you have an idea for a photo, a video, a post, a document, a LinkedIn poll, don't say, "Ooh, yeah, that's good." You're going to forget it. Write it down. It doesn't matter if you have an app or if you use a notepad. Write it down. And it doesn't need to be the whole piece of content. It doesn't need to be the whole post. Maybe just a bullet point, a few thoughts. And then you need to create a process. Why don't you sit down once every 10 days or once every 3 weeks and design 2 hours of time in your calendar or in your schedule? And when you do that, you have collected all of the content ideas before that, which means you don't sit in front of your laptop and think, oh, no, I need to be creative. No, you have accumulated so many different ideas. And now, during these 2 hours, you can pick and choose. Today, I'm going to create 1 article and 2 status updates of maximum 500 characters. If you say, no, let's go all in, let's take the 1,300, also fine. This is what makes a difference between somebody who's going to create content on a consistent basis, a real content creator, or people who log in to their LinkedIn every morning and think, oh, now I need to write something. I don't know where to start. I hope that this presentation inspired you or edutained you enough to get started with LinkedIn. If you have any questions, reach out. I'd always love to help. And if we aren't connected on LinkedIn yet, well, you now know where to find me.